Greetings, programs. Burnt Out Gamer here, and I am back again. And today, we're going to be talking about half-naked ladies. And we're going to be talking about dragons. So we're asking, is Alisia Dragoon for the SEGA Genesis worth our time? Let's get into it. Released in 1992, Alisia Dragoon is best described as a slow-motion run-and gun. Kinda? But why I say it's a slow-motion run-and gun, we'll get to in a bit. So the story in Alisia Dragoon is basically non-existent. But the short of it is, the main bad dude, Baldur, killed your dad. And years later, you're out for vengeance. None of this is explained in the game though. In classic 16-bit fashion, all of this was self-contained in the manual. Yeah, I said manual. Remember those? Alisia's main weapon in the game is her magical lightning that auto-tracks all enemies on the screen, depending on which way you're facing. The catch is you have a meter at the top of your screen that continuously drains as you use your attack, and once it's gone, you're defenseless. This is where the slow motion thing comes in that I talked about. Enemies constantly spawn off screen and come at you as long as you're moving. So sometimes you gotta take a second, stand still, and recharge before you can do anything. Alisia does luckily have 4 companions though to aid her in her quest through those times in the game. You get to choose from a dragon, a lizard, a fireball, and a raven. All 4 of them all have their own special attacks, abilities, and hit points all their own, meaning they can die, so be very careful. You can also cycle through them at will or put them away. It's pretty convenient. So that was a quick overview of Alisia's Dragoon. Now I want to get into the pros and the cons and see if it's worth our time. Starting with the pros, the game is beautiful. At least in my opinion. Some people say that the game doesn't stand up to the rest of the titles that were released in 1992, but honestly, to me, I think it looks really nice. The worlds are really fleshed out, and it actually feels like a fantasy game. And honestly, you'll get a chance to see it all for yourself with how the game encourages you to explore. There are tons of nooks and crannies everywhere that are hiding all kinds of secrets and power-ups. Which brings me to another pro, all the power-ups. They are abundant and everywhere, especially in all those nooks and crannies like I just said. Also, the music in this game slaps. Every level has its own feel to go along with the aesthetics, and it is amazing. It's one of those 16-bit soundtracks that you can just chill with in the background. So those are the pros. What about the cons? Well, first off, this game is hard. There are no saves and no continues. The only lives that you get are the ones that you earn as you play. So that exploring thing that I mentioned as a pro because the game looks so pretty, it is kind of forced in a way. Because if you do not look for all them power-ups in the early levels, there's no way you're going to be able to make it in the later ones. Which goes hand in hand with another con. The fact that your main lightning attack overheats so easily. If you don't get those power-ups, it takes forever to take down some enemies as they just stand there and tank your main attack until you finally drop them. Meanwhile, you're absorbing damage the whole time. In short, this game would greatly benefit from some kind of password system in case you die or can just want to pick up from where you last left off. So those are some of the pros and cons of Alisia's Dragoon. What do you think? Do you remember playing this back in the day? Or maybe even recently? With everything I've told you and everything that we've covered, do you think it's worth your time? For me, I personally would say yes. I think it's a great game. It is on the hard side, but honestly, most games kind of were back in that time. The fact though that this doesn't have a password system really does kind of hurt it. But overall, it's a great play. And honestly, kind of a cult classic at this point. So programs, if you enjoyed the video, force push that like button if you would, subscribe, and as always, until next time, be excellent to each other.